If you're having trouble learning Spanish, I have 10 tips for you that will be very helpful. So make sure you stay till the end of the video and make sure after watching this video you start doing these things immediately. I'm Haiti with Real World Spanish Lessons and I want to help you become fluent in real world Spanish. So if that's something you're looking to do, make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell on. At the end of the video, I'll have another video with more tips that will help you learn Spanish faster. ¿Listos? Comencemos. The first thing you need to do, and you're doing it already, is to use YouTube to your advantage. There are lots of channels like mine that teach Spanish, and these channels range anywhere from grammar to real world useful phrases. So find a couple channels you like and start learning from them. Número dos. Start watching a lot of Spanish content. Any content that you're interested in, there's probably something in Spanish about it. I'm sure you can find anything on YouTube that it's interesting to you. This will help you learn even faster because you're actually watching content that you're interested in. For example, if you like traveling vlogs, just try to find something regarding travel in Spanish. If you like more like food related channels or like shopping or makeup, just find those channels in Spanish instead of watching them in English or in your native tongue, and that will help you expand your vocabulary at the same time that you're learning. Number three is active learning. Basically what this means is just pay attention to what you're learning. Sometimes we think we're paying attention. For example, we're watching a video and we think we're paying attention, and then all of a sudden we start daydreaming. The easiest way to know if you're paying attention is to, at the end of the video you're watching, quiz yourself. This is the reason why I started adding quizzes to the end of my videos, because I want to make sure that you are paying attention and that you are learning something from me. Tip number four, it's writing. Another way that you can actively learn is by writing all the words or phrases that are giving you trouble. This will definitely help you remember things in the long run, because it's just like when you have something to do. Like for me, if I have something to do, I have to write it down, otherwise I'll forget to do it. Or like sometimes you think, oh, I'll just come back to it later, I'll do it later, and then you forget because it's not written down. So it's the same concept. If you write down the words that are giving you trouble or the phrases that you're having trouble remembering and coming back to them later to study them, you'll be able to learn more quickly. Something you can do, and I used to do this all the time when I was in school, you write down all your phrases on one side of a page. This could be either in Spanish or the language you're learning, or your native language, and then on the other side of the page write the translations and then fold it in half. And after you're done with this, what you can do to quiz yourself is, when the page is folded in half, try to translate the words or the phrases. It can either be from your native language to Spanish or from Spanish to your native language. This helps you quiz yourself when you don't have anyone else there for you to tell you what to write down. And then keep going back and forth. One day you do the Spanish side of it, and then the next day you do your native language side of it. So translate back and forth, and this will also help you remember all the phrases long term. Number five is to improve your conversation skills. When you talk to someone, make sure you're actually listening and paying attention to them. This will help you to clearly understand what they're saying and actually be able to have a conversation. If you're unsure if you understood something, just repeat after them to make sure you got exactly what they meant. And remember to avoid any kind of distractions, to actually actively listen to them. It's human behavior to stop listening to someone when they're talking because you remember a cool story and you're just waiting for that perfect moment to tell your story, so you only have listened to what people are saying. So don't try to impress anybody by coming up with cool stories. Just go with the flow and talk to people, and whatever comes up, talk about that specific thing that's coming up. Don't try to remember cool stories that happened to you, because this will keep you distracted the whole time and you will not even be able to communicate because you're not understanding what the other person is saying. Also, when you're watching a show or a vlog in Spanish, pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to body language and make sure to pay attention to the mouth movement, because this will also help you not only understand but also mimic the way people talk. Number six is to find a language partner. This should be someone who's open to correct your pronunciation and they don't make fun of you if you say something wrong or if your accent sounds funny. Instead, if you say something wrong, they repeat after you with the correct sentence. This person should also use vocab and sentences that that are simple and easy for you to understand. Number 7 is to keep an open mind. Sometimes you're so afraid that you'll miss something or that you won't be able to understand someone that our brains just like shut down, and as a result you don't understand what's going on or what's happening around you. Keeping an open mind will help you understand different accents. Funny story, and this actually happened to me. I had traveled to the Bay Islands in Honduras, and a lot of people there, they grow up speaking Spanish and English. Basically, they grow up in a bilingual environment, so they speak perfect Spanish and perfect English, but it's a different accent. So when I traveled there, I heard people talking and the conversations weren't with me, so it wasn't like I had to actively listen to what they were saying. And I knew it wasn't Spanish, so I thought maybe it was a different dialect, because on top of Spanish and English, they also have dialects. So I thought it's just a different dialect. So after a while, I heard a few words that were in English and I thought it was weird. So I started to pay attention, because I was like, this can't be a dialect. This sounds more like English. So I started listening to conversations even though they weren't talking to me, and then I was able to understand that they were actually speaking English the whole time. But since their accent was different to what I was used to hearing and speaking, I immediately just assumed that they were speaking something else. And you know what happens when you assume. So something to learn from my mistake is to keep an open mind and don't just assume that someone's not talking the language just because you don't understand. Number 8 is to use images. If learning from just reading and listening and practicing is not enough for you, then start using images and start associating those images with the word or the phrase that you want to remember. You can use mental images to help you remember the words long term. Number 9 is to use open-ended questions to your advantage. So use the 5 W's, the what, where, when, who, why, and how. This will help you keep the conversation going, but the focus would be more on the other person because you're asking open-ended questions, so it's their job to fill in the blanks for you. This will help you keep the conversation going, but with native speakers doing most of the talk. This is technically cheating, but it will help you practice by listening, and it will also help you get more comfortable around native speakers. Number 10 is if you don't understand something, make sure you let the person speaking know that you don't understand or that you're confused. Don't just sit there and nod in agreement or disagreement. I know this can be embarrassing, especially if they keep repeating the same thing and you still don't understand or still have no idea what they're talking about, but they'll have no judgment for you. It's not the same thing as to when you're talking to someone in the same language and they repeat things like 3 times and you still have no idea what they're saying, but you're embarrassed to ask them to repeat one more time, so you just nod, and sometimes like you weren't even supposed to nod or you were supposed to keep the conversation going. So don't do this when you're learning a new language, because that can get you in trouble. If you like this video, make sure to check out the video with the tips that I promised at the beginning of this video. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more.